AIT for refusing to pay for my niece's college after she publicly humiliated me?
I, 45 years old, have always chosen not to have children, a decision I made early on in life, and it's one that shaped how I see the world. However, this choice never kept me distant from my family, especially my brother, 47 years old, and his daughter Lillian, 18 years old. In fact, over the years, I've been a constant presence in Lillian's life, helping her with school projects, taking her out for weekends away, and listening to her worries as she grew into a teenager. I've watched her develop into a bright, determined young woman, and I felt proud to be a part of her life. While I never had children of my own, I made sure that the absence of a family of my own would not stop me from helping Lillian in any way I could. Over the years, I'd managed to save up a decent sum of money, and when the time came, I offered to contribute to her college tuition. I wanted to give her the kind of opportunities I never had growing up. She was, after all, a brilliant girl with a promising future ahead of her, and I wanted to ensure that she had all the support she needed to chase her dreams. For months, things went smoothly. We would talk about her future, and I was excited to see her start this new chapter in her life. Everything seemed perfect until last month. The invitation to Lillian's high school graduation party came through, and I was thrilled. This was a huge milestone, not just for her, but for our entire family. I felt honored to be invited to celebrate such an important day with them. The party was a typical family gathering, full of laughter and joy. Everyone was congratulating Lillian, sharing stories about her childhood, and reflecting on how far she'd come. She had worked so hard, and it was evident in every smile and every word spoken about her. As the evening progressed, Lillian took the stage to give a speech. She thanked her parents, her grandparents, and even her friends for their unwavering support. The room was silent as she spoke, all eyes fixed on her with admiration. And then, she paused. Her gaze shifted, and for a moment her eyes met mine. She smiled, but the words that followed hit me like a punch to the gut. And a big thanks to Aunt me for not having kids so she could spoil me like I'm hers. Must be nice having all that extra money and no responsibilities. The room burst into laughter. Everyone chuckled, but I felt my world freeze. I could hear the laughter in the background, but all I could do was stand there, frozen in place. I could feel every eye on me, every person in that room waiting for my reaction. I tried to smile, but it was a forced smile, one that didn't reach my eyes. I could feel the sting of her words sinking deeper with each passing second. I've heard jokes about being child-free before, of course. People often make light of the fact that I don't have children, assuming I have all the time and money in the world. But Lillian's comment, it wasn't just a joke, it was cruel and worse, completely unnecessary. The sacrifice I'd made over the years, the money I'd saved to help her, all of that felt like it was being dismissed in an instant. I had poured so much into her future, so much effort, so much love, and here she was, using my choice not to have children as a punchline in front of our entire family. My brother and sister-in-law, instead of stepping in, laughed along with everyone else. The laughter stung, but their silence was even more painful. I thought they would understand, I thought they would defend me, but instead, they let the moment pass as if nothing was wrong. Later that evening, I found myself confronting Lillian in private. My heart was heavy with disappointment, and I needed answers. She shrugged dismissively and rolled her eyes as if my feelings didn't matter. "It was just a joke, Aunt. You need to lighten up. It wasn't a big deal." "A big deal?" My chest tightened. "A joke?" I asked, my voice shaking with emotion. "You know, I've supported you in every way I can. I've sacrificed so much to make sure you have opportunities. And that's how you thank me?" Her response was cold and dismissive. "Come on, it wasn't meant to hurt your feelings. It was just a joke. Why are you making such a big deal about it?" My heart sank even further. My brother overheard the conversation and stepped in, brushing it off. "Teenagers say dumb things. Don't take it personally. She didn't mean anything by it."
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Was this really how they saw it? Just a dumb thing to laugh off? I spent the next few weeks replaying the incident over and over in my mind. I kept coming back to the same conclusion. Lillian didn't respect me. She didn't understand the effort I'd put into helping her, nor did she seem to care about the emotional toll her words had taken on me. She had no idea how much I'd sacrificed, not just financially, but emotionally as well. I wasn't some rich aunt with nothing to do but spoil her. I was someone who had chosen to help, to give her the opportunities I never had, and in return, I was treated as a punchline. Finally, I made a decision. I couldn't continue offering my support if she didn't respect me. I withdrew my offer to pay for her college. It wasn't a decision I made lightly, but I had to stand up for myself. When I told my brother about my decision, he exploded. "You're being selfish. It was just one harmless joke. Why are you punishing her for that?" I could hear the anger in his voice, but I stood my ground. I'm not punishing her. I'm setting a boundary. I won't tolerate being disrespected, especially not after everything I've done for her. Since then, Lillian hasn't apologized. She hasn't come to me to try to make things right. And now, as time passes, I can't help but wonder, am I being too harsh? Should I have forgiven her and moved on? Or is this a case where my feelings and my boundaries should come first? I don't know, but one thing is clear. I can't shake the feeling that for all the love and care I gave her, I've somehow been forgotten in the process. Update 1. After I decided to withdraw my offer, the atmosphere in the family became very tense. In the days that followed, Lillian didn't say anything to me. She avoided me and only spoke to my brother or sister-in-law. I could feel the coldness in every encounter, and it made me feel even more uncomfortable. A week later, I received a message from Lillian, just a short sentence. "I think we need to talk." My heart raced when I read the message. The uncomfortable feelings swelled within me as I recalled the hurtful words from the party. I agreed to meet her, but inside I was still full of contradictions. We met at a cafe near my house. The silence enveloped us, with only the soft clinking of cups and plates breaking the stillness. Lillian looked at me, her eyes no longer filled with the cheerfulness they once held. Instead, there was confusion and a trace of hurt. "Can you tell me why you did this?" she began, her voice low and full of disappointment. "It was just a joke." I looked at her, unable to hide my anger and disappointment. "A joke, Lillian? Do you understand what I've done for you? I've saved for years to help you, and now you think I don't have any responsibility just because I don't have children?" Lillian was silent for a long while, biting her lip as if searching for an explanation but couldn't find the words. Finally, she sighed, looked directly at me, her eyes filled with sadness. "You know, sometimes I feel forgotten. Everything you do, you think, all the sacrifices you've made, I understand that. But have you ever thought about how I feel? I'm not a child anymore. I want to do things for myself." I looked at her, my heart tightening. The words she spoke, though not the acknowledgement I had hoped for, made me realize she was growing and wanted to stand on her own. But the feeling of betrayal, the lack of respect, still weighed heavily on me. "Lillian, I only want the best for you, but I can't bear being dismissed like this," I said, my voice choked. "You've hurt me, and not just with a joke." At that moment, Lillian lowered her head. Her eyes seemed to hold regret, but there was still a sense of pride in them. We sat in silence, neither of us speaking any further. Update 2. A few days after our meeting at the cafe, everything seemed to calm down. But then, one evening, as I was sitting watching TV, I received a call from Lillian. I was a bit surprised because, since the party, she had barely wanted to talk to me. I answered the call and her voice sounded anxious. "Aunt, I need to apologize." The words took me by surprise and I didn't know how to respond. "Apologize?" I hesitated. "Can you explain further?" Lillian took a deep breath and began to speak. "I just learned something. Aunt, I don't think I knew the whole truth. I heard the story from one of your friends. You've saved up all these years, not just for me, but for your own future as well. You've worked tirelessly to help me without ever asking anything in return. I don't understand how I ever thought that you were only doing this because you don't have children. You've sacrificed so much to help me, and I just thought it was something that should be expected." A strange feeling spread through me. I didn't know what to say, but I decided to listen. "So, you know now?" Lillian continued. "Yes, I can't believe I ever thought that way. I'm so sorry, Aunt. I had no idea how much you had sacrificed just to help me. I really shouldn't have said those things. My joke wasn't just thoughtless, it was selfish. I didn't think about how you would feel. You've done everything for me, and I'm truly sorry." My heart softened. I could feel the sincerity in Lillian's words, but I still couldn't fully erase the pain she had caused me. "Lillian, I understand how you feel. I know you didn't mean any harm, but when I heard you say that, I felt insulted. You didn't understand that I did all of this because I love you and want you to have a bright future, but I'm glad you've realized your mistake."
Lillian was silent for a moment, then said, "Aunt, I will never do that again. I will do everything I can to make sure I don't disappoint you. I won't let you worry about me anymore. Thank you so much."
The conversation ended in silence, but I felt a sense of relief. Lillian had come to understand and acknowledge her mistake. Not only did she apologize, but she also promised to do everything she could to ensure I wouldn't be upset again. I knew that although the past couldn't be changed, there had been progress in our relationship. And I hoped that with time she would continue to grow and become a more responsible person. Update 3. A few months after that conversation, the relationship between Lillian and me slowly returned to normal. But this time, I could feel a noticeable change. She was no longer the naive girl who didn't fully understand the sacrifices and care I had given her. Now, Lillian had matured, not only in her thinking, but also in the way she treated me. She started to be more proactive in sharing the milestones in her life, the big and small decisions she was making, and I no longer felt like an outsider. Whenever she faced an issue, she would call me, seeking my advice as if I were still the aunt who always cared and was ready to listen. The feeling of being forgotten gradually faded, replaced by the respect and connection I had always hoped for. One day, Lillian called me, her voice full of excitement. "Aunt, I want to invite you to my college graduation ceremony. I know that without you, I wouldn't have made it this far. I'm so grateful for everything." At that moment, I felt that all my sacrifices were worth it. Although I didn't have children, I was still able to make a positive impact on someone's life, and that made me feel happy. While sacrifices aren't always immediately rewarded, sometimes the people we love and support will recognize the value of what we've done. And with Lillian, I had achieved that. When I attended Lillian's graduation ceremony, she found me in the crowd and hugged me tightly, her eyes shining with pride. "I did it, Aunt. I'll always remember you." I smiled, not needing to say anything more. In that moment, I understood that our relationship had truly changed. No more thoughtless jokes, no more misunderstandings. We were family, and love had overcome everything.
During the graduation ceremony, when Lillian stood on the stage to receive her diploma, she turned to the audience, her eyes sparkling. After thanking her teachers, friends, and family, she paused, looked at me, and smiled. "And especially," she said, her voice full of emotion, "I want to give a special thanks to someone I can't leave out today. Aunt, you're not just an aunt, you're also a second mother to me. You've sacrificed so much to help me become the person I am today. I can't imagine my life without you. You've always been there for me, taking care of me, and loving me unconditionally. Thank you, Aunt. You are the most amazing person I know." The entire room fell silent for a moment before a round of applause broke out. I stood still, tears streaming down my face. All the emotions, all the sacrifices I had made, seemed to be repaid with those simple yet sincere words. And I knew in that moment I was not just an aunt, I was family, an important part of her life.